Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us here today. We are gathered on the traditional territory of the signatories of Treaty 6 and 7, and this land is also acknowledged by the City of Red Deer as an historic Métis gathering site. My name is Shannon Phillips. I'm the Alberta NDP candidate for Lethbridge-West, and I'm joined today by Baer, the Alberta NDP candidate for Red Deer South, and Jaelene Tweedle, the Alberta NDP candidate for Red Deer North. There is less than a week left in this critical election, and Albertans have a choice. We can choose a better future with trusted leadership in the form of Rachel Notley, a leader who says what she means and means what she says. Or we can move backwards with Danielle Smith, a leader who spurs chaos, supports extremists, and changes her position on critical issues by the year, the month, the day, even the hour. Now, I know Danielle Smith is tightly scripted these days, but let's be honest, this isn't the real Danielle Smith. We know who the real Danielle Smith is. She has told Albertans who she is over and over and over again. And she has a hidden agenda for the next 4 years in Alberta. She's just working overtime to hide it from Albertans. Now first, she will make you pay to see a family doctor. She has said this countless times, drafted policy papers, embarked on speaking tours across the province. Her belief in wanting to privatize our healthcare isn't just some offhand comments, but what she truly believes in. She wrote in the Calgary Herald, quote, "A patient's healthcare card could be swiped like a credit card. The patient would sign a detailed receipt approving his services, and the portion he is responsible for would be tacked onto his provincial income tax." It couldn't be more clear. She believes that visits to your family doctor shouldn't be covered by government. She thinks it was an error to include doctor visits in Medicare coverage. Those are her words. And she wants to create a, quote, payment relationship between doctors and patients. Once again, those are her words, recent words, not ours. They're on tape. They're in writing. This will do nothing to help the many people living in Red Deer who are struggling to even find a family doctor. Second, Danielle Smith has been very clear. She wants to sell off public hospitals. Hospitals like the Red Deer Regional Hospital right here. In 2021, she outlined her plan for different groups of doctors and a different group of patients to run our public hospitals. That means they set the privatized terms of care, and Albertans will pay more for-profit medicine, and the wealthy can jump to the front of the line. We see this time after time south of the border. It's pretty clear we can't afford to sell off our hospitals. We need to build hospitals. That's why we, the Alberta NDP, not only committed to build the Red Deer Hospital, we have actually budgeted for it. Unlike the UCP, we budgeted $650 million to accelerate the construction. Third, Danielle Smith also wants to take Alberta out of the Canada Pension Plan, gambling away our retirement security. She wants to steal pensions earned by people after a lifetime of hard work. She campaigned on this as far back as 2012, and just last November in 2022, a decade later, she signed a letter directing her finance minister to work on it. But during the election campaign, she's afraid to talk about this favorite idea of hers and has said it can be revisited after the election. Let's be clear, pensions are on the ballot. We can decide today that we're going to protect our pension and go to the advance poll. We can do that all the way through Saturday. We can make that decision on Monday that we're going to protect our CPP on election day. Fourth, she will fire the local RCMP officers and bring in a provincial police service. She has directed her Attorney General to start working on creating an Alberta Police Service. Firing the RCMP won't improve public safety. It will increase costs for you and your family. It will make life more expensive for all Albertans. An Alberta Provincial Police Service will cost municipalities as much as $1.36 billion. That's billion with a B of transition costs and lost federal revenue. Now, if this goes ahead, Red Deer residents can anticipate their property taxes to skyrocket. That's why over 70 municipalities across Alberta made their wishes clear in an open letter, stating they don't want a provincial police service. Now, of course, the UCP ignored them. Fifth, Danielle Smith will spend hundreds of millions of dollars hiring 5 5,000 tax collectors for an Alberta revenue agency to collect our provincial income tax. For that cost, we get the privilege of filing our income tax twice. She has said that she wants to do this. She said it herself on video, and her plan was later corroborated by the former finance minister, Travis Taves. Now, economists have called this a bad idea and said it will cost potentially $500 million a year. I asked the finance minister about this in the budget estimates debate in March. He said that $500 million was the lowball estimate, the minimum of what this bad idea will cost. Now, I think that common sense would tell us that Albertans would rather hire 5,000 teachers or 5,000 nurses instead of 5,000 new tax collectors. But clearly those are not Danielle Smith's priorities. 6. While regular families struggle with rising costs, Danielle Smith will hand over $20 billion to the biggest polluters. $20 billion to companies that are refusing to clean up their abandoned wells, even though they are legally obligated to do so under the terms of their approvals. Now, she pushed for this monumentally bad idea when she was a lobbyist, even though Jason Kenney's energy minister told her that it violated the polluter pay principle. So when she got into the premier's chair, she removed that energy minister, fired her, and appointed someone else to implement this awful plan. Now, all of these bad ideas come from Danielle Smith herself, but she's not campaigning on any of them. She knows how unpopular her ideas are with Albertans, but this is her hidden agenda. Albertans are looking for a government that's focused on what matters, not on Danielle Smith's chaotic pet projects. Now, in contrast with Smith and her hidden agenda, Rachel Notley and the Alberta NDP have a publicly available, costed plan that reflects the priorities of Albertans. We will ensure Albertans that need a doctor get a doctor here in Red Deer and across the province. We won't sell hospitals, we'll build them, and nowhere is that more true than right here in Red Deer. We won't fire our CMP officers, we'll invest in hiring more police. We will not hire 5,000 tax collectors and take on another $500 million in costs just so that you can file your income tax twice. We won't do that because it's a really dumb idea. We will cancel the $20 billion handout to polluters, and we will never gamble away your pension. In fact, we will pass legislation to protect it. Unlike Danielle Smith, Rachel Notley is a leader you can trust. You know what she stands for. She says what she means what she says. Why we cannot trust Danielle Smith in this election is about leadership, and it is about trust. Thank you, and I'm happy to take any questions you might have.
We'll now turn to questions. For those on Zoom, use the hand function or star 9 by phone. We'll start with questions in the room. Please state your name and affiliation. Okay. We'll go to questions on the phone. Eric, are you there?
Hey, sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect, thanks. Eric Baer with Global News. This is for Shannon. You've been outside the riding over the last few days here. Does that mean you feel comfortable with your place in the race for Lethbridge-West?
Well, I was in Lethbridge yesterday, did a news conference, and voted early, as tens of thousands of Albertans have now done. I think we're up to almost 200,000 Albertans who have voted early. As something in that neighborhood, we're seeing tremendous momentum across the province. I'll be back home tomorrow to attend a number of momentum events in Lethbridge with a number of different communities. The energy that we're feeling in Lethbridge in both east and west is incredible. I'll be gone for about 36 hours to come and do some checking in with candidates across the province, these fabulous candidates here in Red Deer, in Airdrie this morning, in Medicine Hat yesterday afternoon. I was out canvassing yesterday in Calgary. It was just tremendous, the reception that we were getting on the doorsteps. So anytime that I can come and make connections with folks in the rest of the province, I'm happy to do so.
Do you have a follow-up, Eric?
No, thank you.
So we'll do one more pass for questions. Do you have any in the room?
Josh Hall with RD News Now. My first question is for Shannon. A lot of the things on the board behind you, Danielle Smith has kind of denied, or she says she's not going to sell off hospitals. She says she's not going to make you pay to see a doctor. So I guess, you know, it comes down to that question that the debate ended with, which was, you know, why should Albertans trust you, or why should Albertans not trust the other candidates? So when you got one party insisting on some of these things, and Danielle Smith insisting the opposite, you know, what should be the tipping point for voters in terms of who they trust on some of these things?
Well, you know, Danielle Smith has issued various denials, but they've actually been less frequent and less full-throated than her absolute support of all of these ideas. Over the course of the leadership campaign, she ran her leadership campaign on this. On many of these ideas, she actually gave them as instructions to her ministers as soon as she was in the Premier's chair. Now she knows that they are unpopular, so she is trying to hide her real agenda from Albertans. There is no question that we can make a choice right now to protect our healthcare, to protect our hospitals, to protect our pensions and our police officers. Albertans are making that choice as we speak, showing up to the advanced polls in record numbers because they know that they cannot trust Danielle Smith. She is risky, she's unpredictable, she is focused on the wrong things. We are in yet another day of talking about Danielle Smith's interactions with a convicted criminal extremist. This is not the type of leadership that will lead us to a better future. And, you know, she can issue those denials now, but we know that her record is actually these policy proposals, and that will do tremendous harm to Albertans.
My next question is for Jaelene and Michelle. You know, different parties have different strategies and choose what they do during the campaign for various reasons. I couldn't help but notice that our election page is full of NDP and basically no UCP coverage because they haven't made any public appearances outside of the election forum here in Red Deer. So I'm wondering what you make of the different strategies, whether you think they're not making public appearances because, as the other reporter was kind of alluding to, maybe they're just overconfident that they're going to win, they don't need to. Just what do you make of the different strategies locally here between the two of you and the two UCP candidates?
Well, I know for myself, the last 7 months, knocking on thousands and thousands of doors, that has been my absolute priority, talking to the people that live within the riding. And it's been very troubling for me to hear the number of people that have said, I've lived in this house 12 years, 20 years, and no candidate has ever come to my door. And I think when you talk about a party that's under different names, been in power for over 40 years, there's some entitlement that comes. And to me, the lowest bar anyone should ever cross if they want to run for public office is to show up and talk to the people they want to represent. And that's what I've done every day for 7 months. I cannot speak to why the current MLA in my riding has not been seen as much, but I feel that the people in Red Deer North have been failed right now, and they deserve to be listened to, and that's what I've spent the last 7 months doing.
Hi, Josh. Very similarly, for me, it comes down to accountability and transparency and just having an open door and wanting to have those conversations and be willing to hear what people have to say, good, bad, or otherwise. So that's been the kind of cornerstone of my approach to getting out and getting known in Red Deer South. What we've seen and what I hear a lot from people is that they have tried to have conversations with the UCP candidate and MLA for the past 4 years, and emails and letters and phone calls have gone unanswered. So people are ready to have conversations about really important concerns, and when I go to the door, they're happy to talk to me.
Perfect. So seeing no questions, that concludes today's press conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Recording.